Welcome to the Knights Talk Podcast, Community Corner. In this episode, we get to have a conversation with the mighty community leader.
Today, we are honored to speak with Leon Lott, the Sheriff of Richland County, South Carolina. Sheriff Lott has spent decades working in law enforcement and public services. As sheriff, he oversees duties, works to keep neighborhoods safe, and builds partnerships with schools and community members. He is also known for encouraging young people to make positive choices and to get involved in helping their community. We are excited to learn more about his role, his experiences, and his advice for students.
In this quick conversation with Leon Lott, we want to help our listeners understand more about law enforcement and community safety. We have a few questions to ask Sheriff Lott.
What does a sheriff do, and what does a typical day look like for you in Richland County?
Well, a typical day starts very early. I go to the gym 5 days a week. So I start about 6 o'clock in the morning. I go to the gym, and then I'll go to my office at that time. I have an opportunity to shower and get dressed there. And first thing I do is start doing paperwork. One of the things that I have to do a lot is paperwork, which is what I don't like to do. If you come into my office, you see I do not have a computer in my office. Never had a computer in my office. You can still do the job without having a computer. I don't want to get tied down to a computer. I'm a people person. I think it's important as sheriff that I develop relationships with people, and you can't do that over a computer or text messages. You have to look at people eye to eye and talk to them, and that's where you can really tell who someone is. So a typical day for me is going to various meetings, various functions. I do have some office work, but I stay out in the community as much as I can. I'm here with you this morning doing this podcast. I think I have 4 or 5 other meetings throughout the day, and then I'll end up at 6 o'clock tonight at Ridgeview High School, where I'll present some awards to the JROTC there. So typical day for me starts about 6. I usually get home around 8 o'clock every night.
Very busy.
Busy, but it's something that I love. I don't look at it as a job where you have to do this. This is something I love doing, so I don't mind one bit getting up early and going to my profession or staying late and doing my profession. I think that's what I've got into this for, and this is what I've done for a long time, and this is what I love.
That's great. I'm glad you love your job. What inspired you to choose a career in law enforcement, and how did you become sheriff?
It inspired me. My dream growing up was to be a professional baseball player. That's what I played baseball in high school and played baseball in college. And in college, I realized I was a good baseball player, but probably not good enough to ever make it to the major leagues. And I just thought about what police officers done, the influence they'd had and impact in my life, and how they helped me and helped people. So I said, this is what I want to do. You know, there's exciting and challenging parts to it. I'm not someone that could sit into a factory and do the same thing over and over every day. I'm someone who wants to be challenged mentally, but also physically too. But I also want to help people. You know, and we're a helping profession. That's what we are. We're really a helping profession. And if you look on the back of my uniform and other deputies' uniform in our cars, it says peace officer. It doesn't say law enforcement. When you say law enforcement, it's like all you do is enforce the law and lock people up. Well, that's only a small part of what we do. Our job is to keep the peace. And there's various ways you can keep the peace. I'm here with you this morning. I'm not going to lock anybody up. I don't think none of y'all are going to go to jail. So am I doing my job? Yes, I'm doing my job. I'm building a relationship with you three here, but also with those who going to listen to this podcast. So that's what it's all about, building relationships, positive relationships.
That just made me look deeper into things. Like, I feel like most people just look at it as people arresting. Like,
right.
I think it's way deeper than that now, and I feel like people should know that. So
it is, and I think when you watch TV or you see stuff on the news, you see when somebody's stumbled and fell and made a mistake and they get arrested. You don't read about all the good stuff that people do every single day. Look at the thousands of kids or young people that go to school in Richland County. You never hear anything about them because they're just doing good stuff. That's what young people is all about, is the ones you don't hear about. The few that, stumble and fall get most of the attention. And that's the same thing about us, is you usually don't hear about something that police officers done unless somebody's made a mistake and we lock somebody up. But look at all the positive interactions we have every single day. You just don't read about it or see it on TV. So we're trying to change that narrative on who we are, and I think having peace officers on the back of our uniforms and the back of our cars, it goes a long ways in doing that. People look at it and go, oh, it doesn't say law enforcement. It doesn't say, it says peace officers. So, just changing the attitudes that people have toward us.
Why is it important for law enforcement officers to build positive relationships with students in schools?
Well, students are, our future of tomorrow. They're actually our leaders today. And, I think it's important that you start building relationships with young people at a very early age. We have 107 school resource officers at Richland County Sheriff's Department. We have a school resource officer in every school in the county. And their job is to build, they call them resources, call them school resource officers for a reason. Look at all the resources they bring. They're counselors, they're helpers. They do a lot of different things besides, enforce the law. And so, I think you start building that relationship when kids are in kindergarten and then reinforce them every year. So way you interact with someone who's in the first grade is different from how you're going to interact with someone in the 9th grade or the 12th grade. And so our deputies are trained to how to do that and build these relationships. So I hope, again, sometimes the only time a young person sees a cop is when something bad's going on. Well, so many good things go on at school. This is your turf. This is where you're comfortable. So we come to you instead of you coming to us. So that's why I think it's important to have school resource officers. And not everybody can be a school resource officer. You got to have two things. You got to love kids, and you got to be able to communicate. That's two skills that are very important to be a school resource officer.
I feel like that reminds me of our officer Finley. Like, he has a bond with everybody here. So yeah.
I mean, and so you look at him in a positive way. And, he is, again, I think, changing the minds and hearts of young people who might not trust or police officers. And one of the reasons you don't trust them is because you don't know one. Now you know one. You know the one that's at your school. He's an all right guy. So that, hopefully will that positive relationship with him will stay with you, and maybe you'll tell other people about it.
What are some simple but important safety tips that middle school students should remember at school, at home, or in their neighborhoods?
Make good decisions. I mean, common sense tells you what's right from wrong. You got a little voice inside you called your conscience. Your conscience never lies to you. Conscience tells you if you're making a bad decision. But unfortunately, a lot of times people don't listen to it. You should listen to it. And surround yourself with positive people that's doing the right thing. Someone who is trying to get you to do something that you know is illegal or wrong or will get you in trouble, that's not a friend. A real friend would never get you hurt. A real friend would never get you in trouble. So you surround yourself with people that are making good decisions. And then you, as a friend to them, if you see that they're going down the wrong path, then you say something to them. You don't want your friend to get in trouble. So, that's what friends are all about. So you surround yourself with good people. And I think it's important that you get good grades too. I believe in education. If I ask y'all to look up two words in the dictionary, education and success, which one comes first?
Education.
Education. That's the way it is in the dictionary. It's also how it is in life. Before you become successful at anything, you got to get an education. That's why it's so important when you go to school, you take advantage of the opportunities you have to learn. And, it's here. This is a great school. Alcorn Middle School is a good school. There's lots of opportunities for you to learn and grow. Unfortunately, some people don't take advantage of it. Don't be one of those. Take advantage of it.
Like at the start, what you said reminded me of something my mom would say to me. Like, she used to tell me all the time, like, surround yourself with people that are smarter than you, because that's what you will become eventually. Just surround yourself by positive and better people. That's how you're gonna act.
And that's also what a good leader does. A good leader surrounds himself with people that are smarter than that leader, and you give them a mission and give them the tools to accomplish that, and then you get out of their way, and they make you look good. By as a leader of the Sheriff's Department, I have 900 people that work there. We're the largest law enforcement agency in the state, so I have to rely on people that do their job, And so, I surround myself with people who are a lot smarter than me. Like the computer, I don't want to mess with a computer, but I got people who can do that. Technical stuff like that. You have experts to do that. I don't know that stuff. My wife calls me a roadkill on the information highway. But to talk to someone and relate to someone, I feel like I can do that. But sit at a computer, I'm not going to do that. But I have people to do it. So what your mom told you is true. Surround yourself with good, positive people. That rubs off on you, and it helps you grow.
How can students help their community a safer and more respectful place?
Well, one of the biggest problems we've got right now is young people with guns. I think all of us sitting here probably know someone who's been shot or home has been shot up or who's been a victim of gun violence. I can't stop that. The only people who can stop that is you, our young people, by making good decisions on not to get involved with guns. Tell young people that, guns going to get you in one or two places, either in the cemetery or in prison, and you don't want to be in either one of those places. And so there's nothing positive going to come out of having a gun. So your generation has to be the generation that says, hey, we're putting the guns down. We're not going to have guns. That's how you can make this community safer. Again, by being a good friend. You have a friend or someone you know and you see that they got a gun. One, you need to stay away from them if they don't get rid of it. Two, then you need to convince them that, that's not going to do you anything positive by having a gun. So, gun violence amongst our young people is the number one problem that we've got. You can change that. Every one of y'all can change that.
Do you think by talking to them will help them stop doing things like that?
I think so. I think that if they hear it they'll hear it from adults like me. I say that on every press conference, where a gun's going to get you. So they hear it from me, but they need to hear it from y'all. They need to hear it from the peer, someone like you, who says, look, why you got that gun? Why are you shooting in a house? Why are you shooting? What's the gun going to get you? It don't get you respect. It don't get you power. But if you listen to music and you look at other stuff, that's what it tells you all the time. You can get power and respect by a gun. They don't tell you that a gun's going to get you either dead or in prison. And that's what happens. That is a fact. So listen to the truth, not something that somebody is trying to give you an excuse. And I think you can change that. You can change the world. You can change what's going on here in Columbia, South Carolina by, and it's got to start somewhere. Why can't it start here at Alcorn Middle School and y'all be the shining example on teaching young people not to get involved in gun violence?
What advice would you give to students who want to become leaders or who are interested in a future career in law enforcement or public service?
Well, you got to have a heart for it. You find a job that you love and you'll never work a day in your life. That's what I tell people. And you got to love this. And it goes back to what I said earlier. It's very challenging. It's very interesting. It's very rewarding. So if you have a heart for service, this is where you can do it. But you also can, make a difference in people's lives. And I think, I tell young people, if you got an interest in this, then one, get a good education. You got to get an education. I believe in that. You got to get an education. You got to stay focused. You got to stay out of trouble, and then just follow your dream. And don't let anybody tell you you can't. You can't do it. When I started 51 years ago, a lot of people said I'd never make it because I was too small. They said I would never make it. All those people who said that ended up working for me at some point. So again, don't listen to the naysayers who, there's always going to be people out here that, going to surround themselves with negativity and they want to bring other people down. Don't listen to that. Surround yourself with people who are positive, but believe in yourself. Believe in yourself and follow your dreams and your goals and stay focused and get a good education. And you can be anything that you want to be.
Thank you, Sheriff Leon Lott, for joining us and for your continued service to Richland County. We appreciate you taking the time to speak with students and share your experiences.
And thank you to everyone listening to Night Talk Podcast Community Center. Remember, stay informed, make good choices, and show respect for others Until next time, from the round table, stay safe, stay curious, and keep learning. Nights out.